Super quick question here. How many tabs do you have open right now? If you're like me, it's a lot. And if you're running a business, it's a lot more. And with all those tabs, you're spending more time searching through data and less time, growing your business. But HubSpot's customer platform brings all your tools into a single powerful place that your teams can use together. So close those tabs. It's business growing time. Visit HubSpot.com to get started today.
Okay, good morning, everybody. How's it going? We are live from Inbound, day 2. This is the Hustle Daily Show. To my right, we have Ben Berkley. To my left, we have the co-founder and CPO of Canva, Cameron Adams. Welcome.
Very good to be here.
Yes, great to have you. We're going to be talking with Cam in a little bit about the relationship between humanity and AI, how they can work together, and what Canva's future initiatives looks like in the AI space. But first, Ben and I, we're going to walk you through some of the headlines of the day. We're going to give you what's happening in business and
We
tech.
still got a job to do.
We got work to do. So yesterday, we weren't yet able to tell you about how dramatic the Federal Reserve's rate slash was, but Ben, how big was it? Tell me a little bit about it.
Pretty significant, it turns out. Half a percentage point. There are still likely 2 more cuts to come this year. Welcome news in many ways for many people. If you wanted to distill this down into just one sentence, though, I would say, the Fed's move suggests that they're feeling pretty good about their battle against inflation. They're a little nervous about the labor market. You plug one hole, another bursts open. The economy is just annoying. That's kind of the moral of the story.
We're already seeing the effect in Australia. So Australian stock market went up based off the back of the reserve cut.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
You're welcome.
And if you're having a bad day today, the 23andMe CEO Anne Wojcicki's day has been a little bit worse. All 7 members of her company's board actually resigned this week. This comes after a months-long battle to take the DNA testing service private. Doesn't seem to be working out too well.
No, I mean, but also it kind of is, because it's a lot easier to take your company private when
you don't have anybody to talk to.
You're the only board member left.
Very true.
There's that, but it is obviously a really rough time. Their stock was at $1 recently. I think they're down to 36 cents, which I would say it all kind of does beg the question: is it time for Canva to acquire 23andMe?
Look, I will not put genetic testing off the table for Canva.
I love it. All right,
Wow,
we're
good.
making news today.
An opportunist over here. I love to see it.
Perfect.
It. And finally, in our last headline of the day, EA, that's Electronic Arts, is officially doubling down on AI. They had an investors meeting on the 17th of September, and they decided and they announced to everybody that they will be moving to AI, calling it the very core of their video game business, not The Sims or Madden or Medal of Honor. AI will be the core of their business.
In fairness, if I were a CEO, I would also say those exact words. Not necessarily because I believe them, but because that's what the shareholders want to hear, and that's the job.
Yeah.
So, there is this question of, does every company need to be an AI company first? Can you be just like a video game company whose part of what you do is just AI?
Well, they've been working with AI for so long at EA to create computer players, right? To create AI to fight against or beat in competitions. But now they're moving towards generative AI, and they're kind of moving it that way. So we'll see what that does to the games business going forward. There's been a lot of talks of design in gaming becoming more AI based. So I guess they're moving towards that.
Yeah, this really just entrenches for me, though, that EA, in my mind, is just going to be Engineers Australia, which is the nonprofit governing body of engineers down under. So I'm sure you're very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very familiar with Engineers Australia. Actually, a good friend started it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
Glad we got the shout out in there. That was very unintentional.
And speaking of AI, Cameron, we would definitely want to talk to you about, you had a panel a little bit earlier today about humanity and creativity and AI, but can you first just tell us a little bit about how you got into all of this and how you started Canva?
Well, how long is this podcast? About 3 hours?
You have 30 seconds.
So I've got a background in both design and technology. So I worked in website design way back when that was a thing. Worked at Google for a bit and met a bunch of people at Google who eventually introduced me to Melanie and Cliff, my co-founders at Canva. And we actually started Canva in 2012 with the mission to empower the world to design, because design used to be very hard and complicated and required masses of expensive software to do. And we wanted to take it to the 99% of the world that didn't have access to that. So we created Canva for that. And over the last 12 years, we have grown to 190 million people that use Canva now. We've got $2.3 billion in revenue. We've got 5,000 employees around the world. So it has been an amazing journey for me personally.
It sounds like it. I mean, also, Canva is extremely popular. Like, our company offers Canva Pro, right? A lot of these companies are nowadays. What do you attribute to the kind of popularity of Canva? Because in my eyes, as like a professional, it really, really shot up in the past 5 or 6 years. So what do you attribute to that?
A couple of things. First and foremost, we are a product-led company. Like, that is what we live and breathe. Half of our team are engineers. So, the number of people building the product every single day is immense. And creating an amazing product experience has led to fantastic word of mouth. Our growth engine for the first 8 years of Canva was just people telling other people about Canva, as I'm sure, HubSpot was the same. And that is the best marketing you can possibly do. So we lead with our product to make sure that everyone has both a good time and also productive time in Canva. Second part is the community. As I'm kind of experiencing here at Inbound, having the community behind you that is so passionate about what you're doing, wants to give you feedback about the product constantly, requesting features, telling other people, creating tutorials and podcasts about Canva, like, they fuel so much of Canva's success. So we're very fortunate to have one of the best communities in the world.
I mean, I will note the hustle, the majority of our graphics made in Canva. I, just as a general rule, curse like every single program I use, which is user error all the way, over and over again. I gotta acknowledge that. I do probably curse Canva the least, which you can put on t-shirts.
That's one of our favorite metrics, like least expletives per session.
Yeah, it seems to be working pretty well. So congrats on that. I guess we should talk a little AI.
Yeah, definitely. We really want to get into the AI component because Canva obviously is using AI in really unique ways, and a lot of businesses across creative companies are using AI in very different ways. And I just want to know, from your perspective, when you first got into founding Canva, was AI even kind of a thought, or when did it become an idea for you guys to integrate AI into the product?
When we started, AI wasn't really on the technology scene. So mobile was, becoming big in 2012. Browsers had just been able to create JavaScript apps. So that was what we were focused on. And that really empowered people to design. Giving people access through the device they had in their pocket was a pivotal moment for us. But we've always used the best technology of the day. That was what we had back then. Today, the technology scene has changed dramatically. So we've seen this shift probably over the last 7 years. We've got a pretty big machine learning team at Canva. They used to focus on a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So they would crunch data, look at what sort of templates and illustrations people were using, and then suggest the right ones for your design. But it was stuff that you didn't really know that was happening. The last couple of years, you're seeing AI come right to the fore now, right? There's a button in most products now that says, speak to our AI, get it to do what you want. So people are cognizantly interacting with this piece of technology. And I think that fundamentally changes the experience that you can now offer through AI. Because we had that team from 7 years ago, we've been able to evolve pretty quickly. We were one of the first companies to release a scaled text-to-image model that went out to hundreds of millions of people. We've now embedded AI across the whole experience in Canva, from the homepage, where you might type in a design that you want to see and we can uniquely create that design for you, through the whole editing experience. So you can upload a photo, tell it to change Ben's shirt into something more fashionable.
Like more zebra-like?
Honestly, I would love that. I need that very badly.
You can remove noise from any audio that you upload into Canva. You can even translate the design that you're doing into 100 different languages, and it's all AI powered. So we're seeing incredible tailwinds through AI in the product, and the ability for it to just reduce the amount of time someone has to spend on something. And that can be someone who's a non-designer creating something from scratch that they never thought they'd be able to create. But it's also professional designers who can now do jobs that used to take them hours, like removing a background from an image, and they can do that with one click of a button now. So we really see it as a rising tide that lifts all boats when you start introducing something like AI. It like radically changes your creative workflow and just enables you to think about the whole story rather than just this one little bit that you have to labor on. You can think about the whole narrative and really quickly get it going, test it with a few people, make sure it's resonating, and then refine it until you get to the final end product.
Yeah. And also, what's your take on that balance, I guess, between creating something and creating something with AI, right? Like, now that AI has kind of entered all of these platforms, a lot of people are leaning on it a little more. So some people might think that creativity is getting a little curtailed by AI in some ways. What's your kind of take on using AI to support but not overwhelm creatives?
I think you see this same question every time a piece of technology comes out.
Oh,
like
yeah.
when the internet came out, when PCs came out, when the mobile phone came out, like there's a certain sector of society who think it's the end of the world. Inevitably, the world never ends, and it levels up pretty much every industry. And with AI, we're really seeing it as the ability to focus on the higher level idea rather than worrying about the nuts and bolts. So you don't have to think about the hours it's going to take to produce a video or edit a photo or write the full copy for something. You can now condense that, quickly get an idea out, and also try a bunch of different things. So you can find the right idea rather than the idea that you want to put the most money towards.
Sure.
We've seen this with creative teams across the world. So we work with a lot of design agencies who employ Canva. They're now weaving AI fully into their workflows. So they'll quickly get ideas for titles out through AI. They'll use Magic Write in Canva to do the first pass of their blog posts that they then edit and curate and bring in other content into. You're seeing production teams like that run the event for Inbound. They can quickly storyboard the whole 2 days, get style frames out, understand what it's all going to look like, and do that really rapidly with a very small team. So we're seeing that across the board, and it's a game changer for a lot of people.
So I got to say, I really admire your positivity about AI and how it unlocks us and how we coexist with it. I'm curious personally, not speaking as a leader of a very large global company, you've amassed this really incredible resume. Aside from launching, I think you're a $26 billion company right now. I don't think anyone else here has done that in our, okay, well done.
Sure, man. Well done.
But, before that you built Google Wave, and you see AI as strengthening those credentials going forward. I think by contrast, hello, I'm really proud of my resume, and I had a really cool, weird career. I don't think I've spoken about it much on the air here, but I used to run editorial at The Onion. So I have this very hard-won skill set, very unique skill set that, I have someone come to me and say, you should use Claude to do some writing. And it feels like a slap to the face sometimes. You feel like, it's very devaluing of this very hard-won skill set. So I'm just kind of curious, I find it really hard to shake that. I see a lot of good in AI, of course, and I see use cases for it for myself. But it's hard to sometimes accept that it's my creative partner going forward. So I guess my question for you is, do you have some of these feelings that I have? Do you ever let them in? Or is it do you really kind of feel really strongly in this kumbaya future with AI and creatives?
I totally get where you're coming from, Ben, and I definitely have some of those same feelings, some of the time, maybe a lot of the time. But when I reflect on my career, and I think even your career and probably Jon's career, you've changed so much over that lifetime. What you're doing now, podcasting didn't exist 20 years ago, right? And it's a whole emerging field that has grown because people have adopted new things. They've learnt new skills, society changes, what people want and need changes. And we always need to grow with that. For most of us, if you're doing the same job in 50 years, you'll probably be pretty sad with yourself. So growing your skill set, changing and evolving what you're doing is really important. And sometimes that requires a bit of work. We go to school for certain things, we do professional training for other things. And I think it's no different with AI. Sure, it's a really easy to access technology, but there's still a lot to learn in there. And I'm sure you know a colleague who is like amazing at AI and you're like, how the hell did you do that? Why can't I do that? So there's something in there that you have to learn, and we're all going to have to do that.
Yeah.
But I think once you start getting in that flow and figuring out the ways that you can best work with AI, it becomes really positive. But we all have to learn this. And I think we're in this exciting, uncomfortable Venn diagram right now where we're figuring out what AI is good for, how we're going to interact with it. And products like Canva are also figuring out how we can offer AI in the best way to our customers. The UI that you see for AI right now, like a text box that you type your idea into, isn't going to be the interface for AI for the rest of eternity. It's going to change and evolve. It's going to become better at handling images and audio and video and working alongside you without you having to type everything into a box. And that world is coming. It's coming soon, but it's not quite here yet. And we're all learning and evolving that together. So for me personally, I have built it heavily into my workflows. I'm also quite a proud writer. I love the writing process and what you can do with the written word on a page. And it has been a little painful to cede some of that control over to AI, but at the end of the day, it makes me so much faster. There's a ton of stuff I don't want to write that AI can just take off my plate, and it just removes roadblocks. Like, how many emails have you sat on thinking of just the right phrase or how you're going to approach it to send to this person that you have a delicate relationship with? And AI is just an unblock for that. You just type in, I need to tell Jon about his zebra shirt. We need an intervention. And AI will send you the right email. And it's not going to be exactly the right email. It still requires your skill as a writer, as someone who has a relationship with Jon, who understands the context of everything, to shape it and come up with the final piece of asset that you send off. But that relationship that you have, I think, what's going to be emerging over the next 5-10 years, and something that we're all going to learn together.
I mean, so we both, I believe, you worked on your university's newspaper.
Yep.
So did I. And I feel like that answer shows why you presumably have a very nice house. And everyone else I know who worked at their university newspaper rents a 1-bedroom apartment. So well done. And I just think we also need to know, for anyone listening at home, Jon's shirt is exquisite. We've talked about it.
Thank you so much.
I wish we could put a picture in the thumbnail with this one.
Custom made on Canva, actually.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, thank you, Cam. It's been such a pleasure talking to you today. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to the Hustle Daily Show today. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. Where's Darren? Hey, Darren. And you can catch the Hustle newsletter at thehustle.co/newsletter. And we'll see you later, everybody. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Cam. Pleasure.
With access to so much information, it's hard to feel like an informed, discerning citizen. That's why Make Me Smart, a podcast from Marketplace, makes it easy for you to stay in the know. Each weekday, hosts Kai Risdall and Kimberly Adams unpack the latest from DC, explore the day's tech news, and they make sense of the economy. Because in a world that's constantly changing, we all need to stay smart. Listen to Make Me Smart wherever you get your podcasts. Heyo, hustlers. HubSpot's Inbound conference is right around the corner, and you better believe the Hustle Daily Show will be there in full force. The lineup this year is as impressive as any. Ryan Reynolds, Serena Williams, Kara Swisher, just to name a few. And while we may not be as cool as Ryan Reynolds or as accomplished as Serena Williams, the Hustle Daily crew will be recording our podcast live every day, bringing you the latest in business and tech from the center of Inbound. You can catch us at the HubSpot Media Broadcast Studio every morning around 8 a.m. Be sure to check us out and come up afterwards and say hi. We'd love to meet you. We'll see you at Inbound.